Welcome back to the channel. This is Late Night with the Devil. This is just being released on Shudder. Had a theatrical release prior in the month, but it's one of them movies that got shown once a day. Didn't have time for that, folks. Man's got to work. Anyway, Late Night with the Devil. Best horror of 2024? Don't think so. But that doesn't mean it's not a great film. Just not that scary. But we'll get into it. Premise of this film is we are set in 1977. It's about a late night talk show that's struggling in the ratings, so it's trying to pull a few things out the bag. We are set on Halloween night. We have a few interesting guests that decide to come on the show. So the film is like a mixture of like documentary style footage mixed with the actual broadcast event that took place in 77. Cast-wise, we have got David Dastmalchian in the lead, folks. Now, you might not recognize that name. It is a bit of a mouthful. Hope I'm saying that right. David Dastmalchian, probably not, but hey-ho. You probably know this guy from The Dark Knight. He was in there for about 45 seconds, but the 45 seconds he was in there, he was amazing. He was in Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, playing a creepy guy in that. He was awesome. And he's also been in a couple of comic book ventures, Ant-Man, and playing Polka Dot Man in James Gunn's Suicide Squad film that came out a couple of years prior. Right, just straight up, I sort of loved this film. And the main reason why I did love it is David Dastmalchian's performance. From start to finish, this guy is so sick. He invokes these like late night TV hosts like so well. I wasn't alive in the 70s, but from the clips I've seen and stuff of the late night talk shows back then, he nails it. He absolutely nails it. So David Dastmalchian, straight up, is the best part of this film. And I implore you to go and watch this film just to see his performance. It's so good. And I really hope off the back of this film, he gets some more lead performances because I just think he's that good. There's a character called Lily that comes in at the back end of the movie, and she is a girl that is apparently possessed. And she puts in a stellar performance, really creepy, just awesome. We have a guy called Ian Bliss. The actor is called Ian Bliss. He's playing a skeptic that our TV host brings on to sort of debunk all these exorcisms and the psychic that he has on near the start of the show and stuff like that. He's there just to prove that these guys are wrong. But if you recognize that guy from anywhere, because I certainly did when he popped on screen, I was like, oh my God, there's Bane. And no, I'm not talking about Tom Hardy's Bane. I am talking about Bane from The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, if you remember that guy.
Yeah, definitely. You're right about that, sir.
He was like the semi-Agent Smith in them films. It's inevitable, Mr. Anderson. Is that the line? I think. But yeah, it was great seeing him. I was like, oh, I recognize that guy. On a technical aspect, this film is trying some things. So with it being set in the 70s and we're sort of seeing this broadcast event unfold, it does implement the 70s sort of grain and aspect ratios, the anamorphic aspect ratio. I loved all that sort of aspect to it. And also like the visual effects that happen on screen. So there's some crazy shit that happens near the end of the film, and there's some lightning effects. Now, I reckon someone could watch this and go, they look terrible. But I think they suit the time period and the horror movies that were maybe coming out around that time. So I gave it a pass, to be fair. I don't think this had a large budget or anything like that. So they were definitely skimping out on them effects. But I'll let you off. So I said up top that the film isn't scary, and that might put some people off because it is advertised as a horror film. So, you know, don't get me wrong. We may differ. There was parts I found tense, but I was never really scared or anything like that. Your threshold might be a bit lower than mine. I'm not trying to say, oh, don't get scared of it. It's not that. It's just I need to tell you guys that I wasn't scared throughout the film because it is a horror film at the end of the day. Any other things that I didn't love? Yeah, so basically, at the start of the movie, because it's obviously portrayed as sort of like a documentary style film, it shows you the backstory of our TV host and, you know, his life behind closed doors. You know, it shows you his wife, it shows you him on the front covers of magazines. Then just very casually, it's like, oh yeah, and our TV host is part of an all-men's cult that do weird shit in the woods. And we just don't elaborate on it anymore throughout the film. I love cult shit, man. I like any films to do with weird cults or anything like that. If you've seen Kill List, yeah, you know. So I thought that was going to come into play a little bit more later on down the line with the film. However, that doesn't happen, unfortunately. You know, it's sort of mentioned here or there in passing, but it never becomes a focal point of the movie, which is fine. I would say the focal point of this movie, and if you were trying to recommend it to someone, they're like, oh, well, what sort of horror film is it? I'd say it's a possession film. Now, I was done in with possession films for the longest time until last year when we got Where Evil Lurks and Talk to Me, both fantastic possession films. And while I wouldn't add this one to the level of how good they both are, this is still highly original and highly unique and shouldn't be ignored. You know, folks, I had a really, really good time with this. It's on Shudder, so you can go and watch it now if you've got Amazon Prime and whatnot. I highly recommend it. Not scary, but thrilling, and got some amazing performances in there, especially from our lead, David Dastmalchian. So, guys, I recommend this. If I'm going to rate it, I'm feeling pretty generous at the moment. I would go 4 stars out of 5. But realistically, I think it's a 3.5 stars out of 5, which equates to about a 7 out of 10 for me. Not the best horror of 2024, but a movie you should definitely seek out and watch. Anyway, that's been my review for Late Night with the Devil. Catch you later.